Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to our first episode, season 3, episode 1, first episode of season 3. Yes, that makes sense. Of the new season. So I'm really excited to kick season 3 back off with Going Meta. So we took a little break over summer, but now we're back, and we have added one more person. At least for this special episode. So I'm very happy to have you both. Hi, Jesus. Hi, Alex. Welcome to Going Meta.
Hello. Thanks for having us. Yeah, it's kind of an exceptional opportunity in the sense that we had Alex here in London, and I thought, what a great opportunity to have him join us for this session, and we're going to see that the topic is super relevant for him because he's actually the author of the server that we're going to be working with. So yeah, stars aligned, and that this was a great opening for the new season.
Absolutely, yeah, that's great, and it's thank you, Alex, for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. I was going to say that maybe we should say a couple of words because both of us were always here, but maybe for people who doesn't know Alex, I'm sure many of them do because he's a regular writer in our Neo4j blog. But yeah, you want to say a few words and what you do with Neo and
Yeah, sure. Yes, my name's Alex. I started at Neo4j on the professional services team, and recently transitioned over to our field Gen AI team, which is led by Jesus. I write a lot of articles and blogs on like Neo4j and Gen AI, and I helped develop the data modeling MCP server, which I'm going to demo with Jesus today.
Cool. Yeah. No, I've read a couple of your blog articles. They are usually very well written. Can people find you on the Neo4j Medium or developer blog, or do you have your own blog where you publish things as well?
Yeah, on Medium or the Neo4j developer blog. I think it's on Medium. I think it's A-Gilmore, but I'd have to double check that.
Okay. I can find it and then add it to the video description on YouTube, so you can follow Alex and his writing there. And it's been a whirlwind, I would say, right? We have taken a little pause, and we thought, okay, yeah, let's recap a little bit. that took longer. Sorry for everybody I was kind of promising I'm writing this recap, and then it just published yesterday. So that was
perfect timing.
I was not intended to take this long, but it's been out, or it's been out since 24 hours. So I'm sharing the link to the recap. So when we closed season 2, we said, okay, yeah, let's wrap it up a little bit. We took a look back into knowledge graphs, and we said, okay, but for next season 3, we want to take on the momentum on looking into AI together with the core technology that we have been using and have been looking at in the past, but we want to extend on it and want to reach out into this realm that is now growing and ever expanding. And you, Alex, but also you, Jesus, you have touched everything there, or many bits and pieces of these workings that are now surrounded by us everywhere. And we I cannot open a single whatever it is, really. It doesn't really matter. And it's just AI, and I can talk to my grandparents even, I think, and they would talk to me about AI. So it is everywhere, and we have this great opportunity to talk about this foundational bit here, where we talk about, okay, it's AI, but also it's your data. It's AI, but it is also making sense. It's AI. It has to add a context. We want to add additional loops. We have agents, all these things, but somehow they have to work. Somehow it has to be connected with each other. Somehow there needs to be, it has to make sense, right? It just we cannot just throw it somewhere and then hope for the best, and it's not going to work that way. And we thought, okay, let's look how it can make sense. Let's look how we can bring the context. Let's look how we can string the technologies together, and let's see how that all works out. And we try, even Jesus in this case, you try together with Alex today to do some hands-on stuff. we're there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it breaks a little bit, but at least we show you it can be done. You can achieve something quickly. You can try something and get some results and see what the difference it makes. So yeah.
No, I think I was pretty sure that I was gonna break it. So that was what,
okay.
also, I mean, the father of the server that we're going to be working with, in the session was just perfect. So because again, just to frame it and see, because I don't think we got to talk about MCP at the end of the season, but we've been using continuously the notion of models, ontologies in different forms, whether that's for knowledge graph creation out of unstructured data, structured data. But it's true that I don't think we've spent a lot of time in the process of modeling, right? So we they said there's this ontology here that we're going to use. But I thought it was super interesting that there was this server that helps you coming up with a data model out of some sample data. We're going to go into the details of all that, but it was interesting as well because it's implemented as an MCP server, which is a technology that's everywhere these days as a way, as we're going to see, of giving LLMs access to different tools in a standard way. And I thought that could make for a very good session. We're gonna as we enter into the sort of hands-on part of the session today, we're going to use a dataset that we used in one of the episodes in season 2. So we're going to see what the process looks like. But that's the idea. I mean, we're gonna take everyone through the process. Oh, we're in this room that if we don't move, the light goes off. So
okay.
We have to stand up regularly to get the lights to. That's going to be
okay. Is that on purpose to get you moving a little bit? Don't
Let's keep us fit away. So. There you go. So yeah, the idea is we're going to go into modeling, but also we're going to be testing the MCP server. Like Alex was saying before, there's a number of MCP servers that we as Neo4j have been working on, and in particular, this one is basically your creation, right? So that's one of them, but there's a couple of others, right? So
yeah, we have the Cypher MCP server, which is really just facilitating that communication between the agent and Neo4j. Then we have a Aura management MCP server, which kind of helps orchestrate your Aura instances, which is Neo4j's cloud offering. And then we have a memory MCP server as well, which is just a simple implementation of like a memory layer for your agent.
Exactly. So and yeah, well, just MCP. I suppose everyone knows what MCP is, but it's this kind of sort of standard already protocol that helps offering LLMs access to external tools, right? In a way of a simple way. And what's great, as we're going to see, is that if you define your server, as an MCP one, then you can use it from different clients. Today we're going to be using Claude desktop, but you can use from all the tools. And that's the idea, exactly. You don't have to replicate that for different client applications. So. Right. So well, that's the plan. I mean, so just to because I see in the title. We skipped the which MCP server. I mean, it
was a bit long, so I at least for here I reduced it a little bit. But yeah, I think that was just the point I wanted to make. But you just made it for that there are several options there, and this is the data modeling MCP server we're going to use today. But there are others available alongside. I think that was just launched last week, right? Alongside the Aura agents. So we are.
Well, that's different because this was the sort of the official Cypher server, right? The one that was launched last week. That's the one that runs read write Cypher, is it?
Yeah, it's So just maybe to add some clarity, so the servers that I just mentioned and the data modeling MCP server are Neo4j Labs projects. So those are community supported, open source. And we also just released a engineering backed MCP server, which has the same functionality as the Cypher MCP server. So you can use it to connect your agent to your Neo4j database. And that's backed by our engineering team, as opposed to being kind of community built.
Good. So with that intro, should we get, because as usual, I've prepared a couple of, I mean, we've talked about most of it, but I've prepared a couple of slides to kind of set the context. So I am on a single screen, so that might be a bit tricky. How can I do it? Let's put it on a separate window, maybe. And I'll go on slideshow. Give me just 1 second. And now I'm going to be sharing my screen. So let me know when, well, I'm going to share my entire screen, I guess.
Here he comes.
Let me know when you can see it. Now I can't see you anymore, Alex, sorry.
That's okay.
But it's the long version of the title, right? So we're going to be effectively, we're going to be creating a data model. But as you know, I tend to be quite universal in my definition of an ontology. And it's true that an ontology can have additional artifacts, but at the core, an ontology is a we can think of it as a data schema, as a data model, right? Basically an enumeration of all the entities that exist in a domain, the properties and the relationships. And that's exactly what the MCP server is going to help us building. So that's the idea. But we're going to see that effectively, even the result of using the MCP server can be effectively formalized as an ontology in the kind of more traditional sense, as in using W3C standard and probably things like OWL or RDFS. But we'll get to that in a moment. So yeah, what we were talking a minute ago, right? So these are three references that I think it's worth sharing here. So the first one to the left is Alex's article where he introduces the data modeling MCP server, which is basically going to be the kind of script of our session today. So we're going to pretty much follow what he describes in his post. The central one is the actual source, right? This is the GitHub page, and you have the URL down there for more kind of detailed description of what's in the server. And then finally, a reference to a YouTube video that Jason did a few months ago as well, when the server was out, to take basically people through the process of setting things up, right? So how to, for example, configure. We will not go today into the details of how do we set up Claude to use the server, how do we create a local database. So all that is running already. But if we want more details, I mean, that's a great resource to get started. So yeah, maybe you want to, I mean, we'll share that, Alex, as always, but
yeah, we'll share that. And that's, I think, for people who have not been watching us regularly, everything goes into a GitHub repository, including the stack. So you will find all the bits that we talk about in the overview. But also, if you watch this later on YouTube, all the links that we discussed, I'm adding those to the video description.
Yeah, and we'll get back to these in a moment. But basically, the experience that we're going to have is we have Claude code, as we were saying before. And once the installation is done, you will notice that there's a bunch of elements there. In this case, the MCP. We've installed the data modeling one, but also the Cypher one, because we're going to want to interact with our database, some resources. We'll go into details on that, but that's where we're going to be working. But let's get back to the slides for a minute, because I would like Alex to take us through the basic flow of modeling using the MCP modeling server.
Yes. Yep. So there's basically a common flow that happens like whenever we use this server with an agent. And so here in this diagram, I've highlighted, there's basically like three roles. There's the agent, the actual MCP server, and then the user. And so each of these tasks are like what they're responsible for. And so up front, we'll have a data discovery phase. Where
just let me clarify so that I understand. So the server obviously is the modeling server, the user is us. And the agent in this case would be Claude, right?
Yeah, in this instance, this would be Claude Desktop.
Got it.
Would be running the agent, And so up front, when we start our conversation with Claude, we'll give it some sample data. We should be giving it some use cases as well that we'd like to address with this data, maybe some descriptions. And so we'll give that. And then with the MCP server, it contains example data models that Claude can use to kind of base this new data model on. And so in addition to kind of, analyzing the sample data and our use cases, it's also going to pull in examples that it thinks are relevant for this particular data set. And so once that is complete, it will then generate its first iteration of the data model. It'll then use the MCP server to validate that data model. And so what's going on there is that within the data modeling MCP server, there are we have a pydantic model representation within the server. And so it'll attempt to map the data model that's generated onto those pydantic models. And so any errors that are caught will then be returned for the agent to actually fix and then try again. And so the errors that we're looking for here are, are there duplicate nodes or properties? We're ensuring that relationships, their source and target nodes actually exist within the rest of the data model. So things like that. And then once we have a valid data model, we can then use the visualization tool from the MCP server to create a Mermaid-backed visualization of our data model. And we'll take a look at what that actually looks like during the demo. And once we, as a user, once we confirm that this is, the data model that we'd like, it makes sense for the data that we have, then we can either generate some Cypher, and this is also facilitated by the MCP server. So while the data modeling MCP server doesn't have a direct connection to a database, we can use it to generate Cypher code that would ingest our data. And we also obviously have the option to give feedback back to Claude to make corrections or augmentations to whatever data model it did. And so this is an iterative process. So we can, it'll return the first version of the data model. We can suggest, additions to it. It'll go back, create a new data model, validate it, and visualize it. We can do that loop for as long as we'd like.
But we are also staying in control by being the one that is deciding if this model is looking correct or if we are happy with it. There's no, this is all user feedback driven. This is not in itself another agent that's coming in and decides, okay, this looks fine.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so we are still kind of in the loop for this process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yeah, and well, and one point where this kind of flow sort of, well, not branches, but because it's true that we can use the model that has been created in the Cypher that's generated to actually do the ingestion. So not just model, but then use the model to basically populate the database with the information that comes from the sample pages that we're going to be using to create the model. But what I found interesting is that the model that's resulting of this is, it's a useful artifact that we could eventually take out of this loop and then use externally, for example, to drive the behavior of the graphrag package, as we've done in some other episodes. Or basically, in this case, I'm going to formalize it as an ontology. So the model that we have created is something that we can persist, that we can version, that we can manage outside externally, and then use it as we need, right? So that's that's one thing that I'd like to try later on. So yeah, so we're going to see exactly that flow in action. We're gonna run it, and the dataset that we're going to use might be familiar. Oh, I didn't know there was some animation. That's a reuse of the page, but you probably remember, Alex.
Yes.
Season 2, episode 1. These kind of plaques in London. So we have this public. Listing of all the plaques, and each of the pages look something like that, right? So we have basically the location, as in the address, the organization that sort of sponsored the creation of the plaque, and the person that it's about. And because I've selected in the categories, you can pick whatever you're interested in. I pick musicians, so we're going to find a list of plaques that basically mention musicians. So you have the URL here if you want to play with it. But like I say, this is something that we used in previous episodes. So and well, that helps us kind of narrowing down a little bit the domain that we're going to be modeling, because I'm going to, as we'll see in a moment, we're going to give this is an example, but we're going to tell our modeling server, go and extract information about a musician, the artworks that they created, etc., etc. But that's the data that we're going to be using, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go now to our local installation. I mean, we have a locally running database that's already configured in our servers. Like we said before, we have the two servers. We have the modeling one that's going to help us through this flow that we just saw. But we also have the Cypher one that's going to help us, once we're happy with the model, ingest the data into our local Neo4j database. So that's the plan now. Okay, so I've been learning to this, but we have Alex here in case I get things. But so we could just interact with pretty much as you would with, and if you go to the blog post, you see that Alex basically writes, hey, look at this data set, and I want to create a model out of it. But we have a simpler or probably more guided way of doing it, which is using a resource here, right? So I don't know if is it readable, Alex, or should we make it a bit bigger?
I think it's, well, no, this is way too big. I don't think we need to go this far. Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, I don't know.
No. But let us know if you if you think it's too small. But on my screen, this looks very readable at the moment. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So right. So if we go to this section, we see that there's in addition to the ones that already come maybe pre-installed with Claude, we have the MCP data modeling, and we have a list of options, and we're going to go with create a new data model, right?
Yep. And so just to kind of explain what we're seeing here too. So we have the prompt, which is the create new data model prompt, and that's what we're going to be using to kind of facilitate this process. But we also have the rest of the resources that are available on this MCP server. And so it has access to these example data models via tools, but we can also just directly include these in our message by selecting them from this menu.
Okay, so can I click? I mean, you're going to change. Can I click on one and see what happens? So if I go to supply chain, it's showing me like, and
then if we click on
file.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we get a.
And so this is.
Oh, and this is already predefined a little bit more.
Yeah. So this is an example supply chain data model. So how this works is if we give it data that is related to supply chains, Claude should be able to recognize that, and it will pull in this data model to use as a reference when it's generating a data model for our new data.
Ah,
got it.
So you don't even have to click this. If you just pick create new data model and you pick a data model that is supply chain, I would say related, Claude will automatically find the example and map it accordingly. Okay, well that's very handy.
That's all just tool calls. They're available from the MCP server. Yep.
Very nice.
Which maps pretty much, I think we've run in some previous episodes, right, Alex, when we had like a collection of predefined ontologies. So, I mean, for example, let's say if we're using the supply chain domain, we want to use a particular set of terms. I mean,
definitely.
That would be a way of guiding the modeling tool to use pre-existing names, labels, properties, etc. So it's pretty analogous to what we did in that with this approach. So that's great.
Yep.
Good. I don't think we have a Blue Plaques model, so we're going to have to have creating it, but that's great. So we have a bunch of samples here. So these are I see that there's supply chain, but dependency models, oil and gas, customer 360, fraud, right? And these, so these are schemas, but we also have the prompt where we basically are going to tell, let's create a new one.
Mm-hmm. How hard is it as a user to create your own schema and predefine it before using the data modeling server?
I'm not sure. I mean, if you follow the JSON format, you could define one yourself. But as a user, I think I would recommend just using these default ones because these are coming from, they're validated by use cases that we've had at Neo4j. And so they've kind of been through the paces, being like demoed, etc. So I don't think there's really a need as a user to create your own, but certainly something you can explore if you'd like to kind of add your own resources here.
Cool. So let's go ahead and click on Create New Data Model. And what we have is basically a form here. And we're asked to give, to guide the agent. And basically what we need to create to provide is some context, some use cases, and optionally some basically desired some node types and relationship types, right? So
yeah, if we already have an idea of what we think our data model should look like, then we can provide that in the nodes and relationships section.
Cool.
But otherwise, it'll all be auto-generated.
Perfect. So yeah, and for that, we were kind of in preparation for these. We were taking some notes from this page. So basically, the data comes from this is one possible description of what we have. So so this is just telling what the blue plaques are. So they're across London, and they honor notable women and men who lived and worked in them. So that's what we have. So I'm going to use that as the context, right? Yes, I'm pasting the text there. And we need to add the URL as well, right? So
let's give it just one URL. So
yeah. So basically, like this, right? These, you can find an example at this URL. So I don't know why this is.
Yep. And in this instance, we're giving it a link to a web page. But if we have like CSV data, we can just include that alongside this prompt in the attachment to the message.
I don't know if it's worth, but yeah, just to the one that we're using is one of them.
Okay.
Let me show what that looks like. So sorry about the jump in between pages, but it's one of the ones in London about a composer, Chopin, and we should find things like the address and some of the things that he did there. So, and the kind of questions that I was thinking, the sort of use cases is, well, which government organization? I mean, it's pretty simple. We don't go. It is more for demo purposes than anything else. But the two interesting questions is which government organization erected the plaque, and what address, and in honor of whom. So who's the person? And the other is, because we know they're musicians, who's the author of a given musical composition, right? So something like that. I don't know if that's very well described, but let's pick that, and that should hopefully help with the use cases. Is it paste like that 1 and 2? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it'll figure it out.
Perfect. So and because it is optional, we'll leave it open and let it.
Let's see what it comes up with. We can always give some feedback.
Add prompt here, right?
Yep. And so now that we've added it, if we click on it, we can actually see the rest of the instruction that we're giving here. So we can see where we're injecting the context and the use cases.
Exercise time.
And then at the bottom, there's the actual instructions for like what we would like it to do. So it's telling it, when to call different tools to get context, etc. So we'll kind of see it go through this flow when we send this message.
Perfect. So I guess we are ready to go. And I just basically submit this prompt and let it do its thing. So I hope.
No.
That's great. So it's starting to tell the kind of entities that it identifies. So there's a plaque, there's a person, a building address, an organization, which is the government organization, and the composition. So that's great. Anything, is that looking as expected?
Can we click on this?
Yeah. Oh. Function
Looks
name.
like there was an error when it was loading the. Can you click on the filter button down here, the one next to it?
Oh, this one here?
Yeah, and then hover over the data modeling MCP server. Yeah, so it has access to the tools. We might need to just restart Claude.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. So basically what's happened is it didn't find the function to validate the model. Well, let's see. So you want to close?
Yeah, we might just have to close it and then open it up again.
Okay, let me give this another go. Yeah. Let's move it to probably another window. So sorry about that, but it's too many things open. So good. Should we give it another go? Same process?
Yep. Yeah.
So we're gonna go with the create new data model, and let's do again the copy paste before. So this is the context, including the URL.
Yeah, and we can maybe try putting the URL in.
Yeah, I just wanted to say
body this time, and that might help address because I couldn't find it or didn't identify.
Oh,
it
right.
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So hang on. When you say the message body, you mean like not?
So we'll put it not here.
Oh,
so,
in the okay,
yeah,
got it.
So we'll just put the description in this part,
In
and then we'll
this URL. So do you want
so
to?
we can just get rid of the. You can find an example of this URL. Yeah, we'll get rid of that piece.
You can. Sorry. Perfect. So
Yep.
and for the use cases, we still do the copy paste. Hopefully works. And
yep. And so then we can just add.
and then we can take this one.
Okay.
Oh, maybe because
yeah, we can just copy it now. But then we'll
perfect.
add
So
the
we add prompt now.
And then in this part,
just the URL. Should I put a comment indicating that this is an example, or
maybe we just tell it this is an example page that you can use.
let's give it a go.
Yeah.
It's worth checking. I mean, it got, I suppose, the same thing.
That's good.
It's all looking good.
Hopefully it finds a tool. I haven't seen that error before.
Yeah, I must say that it's in part my fault because I've setting things up in the very, very last minute. But
oh, okay.
Okay.
So we can just say.
So we'll
always
allow it.
Yeah, this is
so
safe.
it's
So
basically each time it uses a tool in the server, it asks for permission, right?
Mhm.
And like this, we're telling it that you can use it.
And so this is listing all of the example data models. All right. So it doesn't think there's one that's relevant. So it's not going to pull any more into its context. But if we had, had like a customer 360 data or something like that,
Okay.
it would have pulled that into the context window.
Oh, right. So that's the point where it
inform-
looks in the catalog to see if there's anything relevant. But in this case, it's new, which kind of makes sense.
So you like you can see here, it identified a couple of key entities and picked those and created on relationships as well. So yeah.
And now it's running the validations that you were mentioning before, right, Alex?
Yep.
So
and if you open up you can see the input. And so it's giving this JSON structure as the input, which looks like that supply chain data model that we saw earlier.
got it.
Yep. Oh, and so what it's supposed to do, so it's identifying the location, and it's just making up table and column names because we're just giving it a web page, but we do have that source information for each of these.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So the data model is valid was the conclusion. So that's looking good. And it's creating a visualization to explain the model. And that's the Mermaid description.
Yeah. And it should have
shown it
created
visually,
a visual artifact. Yeah, you might need to ask it if it's not done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, we have the description here, but we need to ask it to show it visually somehow.
Yeah. So let's say just visualize the mermaid diagram.
Visualize mermaid diagram.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Perfect. So that's exactly what we were after. So we have the government organization that erects the plaque, specifying the year as well, and the plaque's at a particular location where normally the person used to live, and honored by that plaque. I guess this is questionable. I mean, in a general case, it would make sense because they're not necessarily going to be all musicians, but in our case, it might be redundant because they're all, and because they're musicians, they composed a musical composition. So I think the model looks good. I mean, is it worth just to show how we can interact with the model that we want to get rid of that part? I mean, we don't need the profession, so we can say,
let's show that. That's a good idea.
Drop the profession node type. We don't need it, something like that, right?
Yeah, you can just say, I've been successful with this, just saying just drop profession node and understand.
Or shall we say merge profession into person node?
Or it could be set it as a property of the person node instead, right?
Yeah.
The person node, and add profession as a property of the person.
Yep.
Node. Go.
Cool. Yeah, and if you open up the tab again, you can see it actually like the tool.
Oh, here.
Yeah, you can see it like constructing the input like as it goes.
Got it. So first year, description, nationality, and now we have the profession as a, yeah, I briefly saw that it was added as a property, and now it's generating the mermaid representation, I suppose, out of these. And we'll eventually, will it update the?
Yep. So we'll get it'll actually
that.
version our mermaid diagrams, so we can look to see how the models changed over time.
Oh, perfect. Brilliant.
Cool. Oh, nice.
And yeah, just perfect.
Yeah, and so where it says V2 latest at the top, if we click on that, then we should have an option to go back to the first
cool.
version.
So it has
Okay, that's pretty neat. Yeah.
Good stuff. So we're going to do one thing, because now we're going to continue with the data ingestion. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this file, because we're going to be using it later on. So let's save that in my downloads file as a mermaid. And now, we're happy with the model. It's telling us what he's done. It removed the profession and the relationship, and he added any property. Excellent. So now let's say, well, this would be an iterative process, but we come up with a model that we're happy with, and now we can actually go ahead and ask it to, okay, go and populate the graph with this model, right? So should we do run data ingestion or something like that?
Yeah. Do we need to give it the links to the other pages first?
I don't know. I mean, do we? Yeah, that would be great. So
because it'll ingest the data from the one web page, but I don't think it'll look up other web pages.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking maybe just populate one page, but if we can give it some more, I mean, that's even better. I mean, you say let's pick, these first three, maybe.
Yeah, we can just give it
to make it too long. So it would be something like ingest data.
Yeah, and we can say, please use the Cypher ingest tools from the server.
To load the data.
Yeah.
The data from these 3 pages. And well, that's it, right? So we shouldn't need to, I mean, it's obviously using the
yeah, we'll
model
see. Sometimes it likes to write its own Cypher.
Okay.
But
hang on, let's make sure that I don't know if it's worth adding line breaks, but just to make clear that we. Shall we give it a go? Let's see what happens. So basically, the modeling server creates the Cypher, but then to run it, it uses the Cypher.
Oh, yep, it's trying to use the.
Yeah, so this is good. Permission.
This is what we expected.
So we allow it.
And so this is going to take, if we hover over that or click it open, yeah, so we can see it passes a node as an argument, and then the result is a Cypher query.
Perfect. And I've seen that it's doing node ingestion first and then relationship ingestion. So it does it separately. Is that the way it approaches it?
Yep. And that is in the instruction that we send in the initial prompt that we created. Yep.
Perfect. So now it's busy. Now it's doing the relationships. Yeah. And in the meantime, while it's busy doing that,
you need to allow it again.
Oh, yeah. You might have to allow because it's a different tool.
Oh, it's a different one.
Yeah.
Always allowed. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's good. And I was going to check because we have, where's the other? Maybe here. So we have a, no, oh, I'm not looking for these. I'm looking for the desktop. So we had an empty database. So at some point it's going to, well, now it's still empty.
Oh, you might have to authorize the Cypher MCP server.
Oh, okay. It's going to ask for permission as well. Oh, it's still generating the relationships, but at some point it should ask me to, permission to do the right. Got it. So, and we were talking about this before. So we can do this, the actual ingestion from here, but it's kind of not you wouldn't do that at scale, right? If you want to load instead of 3 pages, 300, 3,000, it's probably not the most efficient way. And that's where we would kind of take the model and use our preferred, data ingestion pipeline, whether that's the graphrag package or anything else.
Yeah, what I've done before is I'll ask this to generate like a YAML file with the ingestion queries, and then I'll take that and bring it into like an IDE to actually create an ingestion script that uses that YAML file. So I think, this gave us a Cypher file, it looks like, with the ingest queries. But I think what we wanted to do is use the Cypher server.
So shall we ingest? So and now use the Cypher server to.
Yep.
And it's going to take that code and it's writing to. It's still not writing, is it?
Yep. So if we open up the tab, we can see, was it actually executing? Okay. Yeah. So it's using the query that we gave it.
Got it. Now it's created, and now the relationships. Nice. And hopefully that should be in our database. We see that there we start address, persons, and tags. So while it's busy writing, we can probably start seeing that we have persons. So we have the 3 authors that we're talking about. If we expand, we see that this is it stored the material that was created. So that's good. But there's the inscription. So that's the tag.
Picked a little bit of a strange initial property as the label.
Check on that, but
well.
Okay, so let's see. It's still busy.
Oh, it's still doing a couple.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to do some verification.
Oh, it's actually. What's that? It's like.
We have to allow the.
I'll verify that it's correct. Oh, it's asking for permission, so let me do that.
No, it's going to validate our use cases.
That's brilliant. So basically, it's taking the questions that I used at the beginning. I'm going to take this query and use that, right? So I'm going to just to get the graph version of it. But basically, if I do return star, I'll return the whole thing. But there we go. Let's make this a bit bigger.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, okay. Super.
So we see it's English Heritage, so different organizations. So it can be English Heritage, or it can be the Greater London Council, depending on. And so these are 2 tags that we can expand. This one is for Mendelssohn in this location in Belgravia. So we have the address. Yeah, we can. I guess we can change. For the plaque, we can use something like maybe erection year or something like that. Well,
yeah, anyway, that makes a little more sense.
That's the material. I mean, it's interesting, but or even the inscription in it. So the description would be another. But yeah, we see that, and the same with the address. Maybe we want to have the street address or the postcode, or maybe at the moment it's showing the borough. But that's pretty cool. So I think that's basically done the job and kind of enforced the schema that we've come up with using the modeling server, right? So
we can see, I think it was working on the first use case too. So if we switch back to the chat, we can see what it said.
Yeah, because it was a summary, but it created the nodes, the relationships, the data points, but you mean how it it was. What was it? At some point it was validating, right? With some.
Yeah.
Let me get relationships ingest. Gone, right? It was.
Oh, maybe it created a new ingest query for us. If you scroll up a little bit more.
Scroll down. It's interesting because I was. It's like
I thought I saw something else earlier.
Yeah, I think I saw something too.
Yeah.
It said validate or check our use cases or something, but well.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
it might be a Claude.
We can ask the question right now. Just
yeah, actually, we can. I mean, yeah, we can take one of the questions that we were using, like which government organization acted. Oops. We can say something like which government organization erected the plaque in honor of. Let's call it. I think Handel was one of them, right? Or Mendelssohn.
Mendelssohn. Yeah.
Mendelssohn. And it was addressed in. Well, maybe it's not proper English, but anyway, it's kind of. I'm sure it's going to be able to generate. Hopefully, yeah, it's doing a read now instead of a write, and it should be able to come up with a cipher that takes organization, erected flag, and it's telling us exactly that it's an English heritage.
And so, interestingly, I think it didn't use the get schema tool because it already had the database schema in its context.
Oh, that's a good point, because normally before generating any cipher, it would go and retrieve the schema of the DB, but because we have it in the context, it kind of knew already. That's excellent. Well, that's brilliant. I think that basically went through the whole process as we saw. Let me get back to the. I think we had the. Sorry, this having one screen only. We had the slides somewhere. Here they are. So yeah, so basically what happened here is we had the, let's go on full screen. But what we saw is how the Claude was doing the analysis of the pages that we gave as examples, and the questions, the use cases that we wanted. It determined that none of the existing data models was relevant, so that was not used in this case, and generated a model. The server did validate it. And showed it. I mean, there might have been some creation loops. I mean, correction loops there, but in the end, it was validated, and it showed the model through the visualization with Mermaid. And then we provided the feedback and said, "Hey, we don't want the profession. We want it as a property." So we came back here, and ultimately, it generated the cipher, so we could populate the database. Brilliant. So I think that was. It was good, wasn't it, Alex? That was pretty cool. So,
that was pretty cool, pretty impressive, and especially, data model creation is oftentimes takes a lot of time, a lot of work, and obviously still, you need to think about it. You need to get your brain into it. But if you have something like a sparring partner here that helps you with some guiding, with some suggestions, with some, developing that model a little bit for you or with you rather, I think that should be very, very helpful. And in this case particularly, like Alex said, there are a couple of already tried and tested data model structures available for you. That's even easier than if you have something that is going along those lines of the ones that are available, making it much easier for you to get a model ready. And yeah, I think we said this a couple of times before in previous episodes or somewhere else here. It's important to get the model right. It's important to have that initial set of your knowledge graph working. And if that is there, that is super helpful to get your structured and unstructured data into your graph.
No, I think that was great. And if we compare it to the session that we ran a few months ago, it's a similar, basically the same process. But here we go, lights off. But it's much more fluid, and I love how verbose it is sometimes. Explaining you what's going on and why it comes up with the conclusions or the decisions that it comes up with. So I think that was pretty cool. So I wanted, because I'm conscious of time, and I wanted to, because we said at the beginning, hey, we're going to be what we've done is created an ontology. The thing, because some people might be asking, okay, but that I know there's some model there, but where is it? I mean, is there an artifact that we can eventually version? And we saw that before, and I took this slide from another episode. That's not this one, where we were talking about, the notion of ontology often is associated with, hey, an ontology is a W3C representation in OWL, whatever. Well, an ontology is a formal description of a domain that can be programmatically used to do, for example, data ingestion like we did now. So in this case, there's yet a new way of formalizing an ontology, which was the Mermaid diagram that we can, if we want, why not serialize as a W3C standard, as an OWL. And I'm going to show that, I vibe coded, very quickly a script that translates the model that we just created into a W3C serialization. But an ontology can take many different shapes, and we saw in the past how an ontology can be used as a model in the catalog in Aura to do ingestion from structured data. Sometimes we formalize it as a JSON document in the graphrag package. But in this case, what I wanted to conclude with is you saw how I downloaded the Mermaid diagram, right? So after when we generated it. So I have my, let me close this. So, oops, no, I don't want to do that. But anyway, we don't need those. But I'm looking at the wrong. Yeah, I think this is the wrong episode. So let me file open recent. We want to go to 39, which is the one from today. And what I'm going to do is, I don't know, this is going to be very readable, but basically what we have here, let me make it a bit bigger. So I just created, like I say, a simple script that will take the Mermaid diagram and we'll put it in the GitHub repository, but it uses, it parses that document. And let me show you what that looks like, because we downloaded it. Actually, hang on, let me go out of full screen so that I can do a quick drag and drop of the, hang on, yeah. Where are we? Here. And I think in downloads should be our, there we go, the Mermaid diagram. We can have a look at that. Let's put it under Ontos. And this is what it looks like. So let's make that bigger. But you see, there's a description, basically an enumeration of the nodes. We identified person, plaque, organization, address, musical composition, the relationships, and then some of the properties listed here, right? There's the birth year, the data type, and I think optionally there might be a description, but in this case, there's just that. So this is pretty much what you find in an ontology. And if we run this script that I was mentioning before, so if I run, let me Mermaid to OWL, it's hard coded here, but I can say go and open the file that we've called Blue Plaque model, slightly different name, .mermaid, and we're going to save it as Blue Plaques TTL. So I won't go into the details of the script, but trust me, it does. We're going to see the output. So let's see if I run Mermaid to OWL. There you go. It's produced, it's put the output here, but it's going to be more readable here. And you see that now we have an OWL ontology that basically has a differentialization of exactly the same information. We have a bunch of, should be a number of classes here at the end. So what we call labels in OWL is called classes. So we have an organization, a musical composition, an address, a plaque, and a person. Then what we called properties in Mermaid are now data type properties, which have a domain indicating which class they apply to. For example, the title applies to a musical composition, and the range is type string. So these are the what we call attributes or properties in Neo4j in the property graph model. And then finally, the relationships are object properties that should be here at the top. There you go, object properties. So composed is a relationship that connects a person to a musical composition. So that's the domain and the range, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it. And these, of course, if we have, like we do, our protege locally, just to complete the example here, I can go and say, go and open the file that we just created. And this is going to be in a different folder. We said it was in 39 in Ontos. That's the one we just created. So it's like 2 minutes ago. So if we open it now, it's loading it, and we see that it lists the, oops. Oh, I have, why does it not show that? We don't have entities, but why do I not have the tab with the view? I've managed to hide the, it shows that
that's behind.
Is it?
On the right side, you have the other, is there
I don't know. You mean like, I think they normally here, but I don't. Edit, view, show, entities, names. Okay, that's silly because there should be an easy way to, is this a window? Views. Here we go, class views. Class hierarchy. Is it there? Oh, here. Okay, that's not what I want. Okay, let's try and I don't know, because I might have closed the tab and it's not, but let's open it. There's another alternative, which is the Web Prodigy.
Which you used a couple of times before.
Yeah, which is the web version of it, which should be simpler. I don't know, that's, I must have done something silly with it. So let's connect to my, there we go, to my cloud instance, and we can create a new project, and I'm going to say choose a file. And like we did before, we're going to go to 39 ontologies, and we have the blue plaques. And we're going to call it, let's call it in Meta Season 3, Episode 1. And it will bring up this new episode, which is a new ontology. And we have the list of classes there as expected,
nice.
Right? Yeah. And the same with the properties. So we will have the object properties, which are the relationships. The compose connects a person to a musical composition. So, anyway, all this to say that ultimately it's just a question of how you format your model. And if you want to version it and manage it as an ontology, you can. And in the same way we've translated with a few lines of Python into OWL, we could do it the other way around. And the model is a model. So that's what I wanted to show to conclude. And maybe, I don't know, we can use the last couple of minutes to take any questions. Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one question from Peter. Peter asks why we chose Claude than any other AI. Is there a reason for it?
I think it's because it's one that was handy, but it's...
Yeah, Claude Desktop is just a really nice interface for using MCP servers, and especially because, with the Mermaid visualization kind of built in, it just kind of seemed like an obvious choice for us. But, you can use this server with any MCP compatible app. You can even use it and just build your own agent as well, just by the nature of it being a MCP server.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's all the questions I see at the moment. So if people have questions going forward, I think we encourage everybody to try out the labs projects, the MCP servers that are available there. The documentation is pretty extensive already, so you can learn more about them there. You see the GitHub also linked there, so everything is available. If people have questions, I would invite you to join the Neo4j community or the Neo4j Discord server. There are graphrag and I'm sure MCP topics there. You can discuss things. Are you looking for other means of feedback, Alex? Is there a way people can contribute?
That people can open a PR, raise a GitHub issue. We frequently are looking at the repo and checking out the issues page. So I think that's the easiest way to give feedback for any of the servers on there.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I wanted to mention, because we've only tested a part of what can be done with the server, but there's a whole set of options. You can create your model in arrows, for example, and import it. There's capabilities around that. So yeah, I suppose people can go have a look, but this is kind of the sort of end-to-end flow from a set of sample documents, but you can take different paths into modeling as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty flexible.
Very cool.
So
I think with that we are at the end of today. So this is a little bit of an overwhelming slide. I'm sorry for it, but we have so many things coming up in the next couple of weeks. I didn't want to leave anything out. Especially Road to Nodes, as you can see, 3 more Road to Nodes workshops coming up. Particularly interesting for everybody who watches today is obviously next week's, where we build your first knowledge graph AI agent with Neo4j MCP. So we're diving into more MCP workshops there next week. We have LinkedIn Live, which is now not visible for some reason, but also next week on an AI tool called Valkompass from Sweden, that's helping you, I think, pick the right. I think it's a helpful tool for voting in public elections. So that's happening next week. And the aforementioned Aura Agents gets another workshop end of the month. And then obviously this all leads, and this is why it's I think so busy right now, this leads into the big one, which is Nodes 2025. And that's happening on the 6th of November. So 4 weeks basically, next month, almost to the day, we have finished Road to Nodes, and we will have Nodes 2025. And AI will be a big part in this, but also app development, data intelligence, and knowledge graphs. So if you are a fan of going meta in the past, Nodes is a big one, I think, for you to join us. So I'm extending this invite. Take part in it. Register for it and watch the amazing content throughout the more or less 24 hours we are live through the 6th of November. So I'd like to see you there. And if you have questions, again, as I said, we have a great community with if you want to have some more discussions, if you want to exchange ideas, the forum or the Discord server are there for you. If you want to learn, Graph Academy is a great place. We have on MCP, I think there's currently something in development, but we have more on graphrag and all these LLM tools with Neo4j. So check that out and play with it. And like we said, Alex, right? If you discover something, if something doesn't feel right, or if you have a feature request on the MCP servers, do a PR.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you very much, Alex. That was great. I think, given how well it went, maybe and I know there's a number of projects that Alex is working on, and we could take the opportunity to showcase them in future episodes. So
I'd be happy to. Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
That was brilliant. Really good one. So
super nice demo. Thank you very much, Alex and Jesus. Thank you everybody for watching and for participating. And I'm hoping this season 3 will be as interactive and as fun as the previous 2 seasons were. So I'm looking forward to the next episodes. And I'll see you around, obviously. And wish you all a good rest of your day, rest of the week, and join us in one of these upcoming episodes until Nodes, or I'll see you in episode 2, I guess, in November.
Perfect.